There's something deeply wrong when you open a tin of mackerel and find yourself staring at grey mush swimming in what looks like dishwater. You bought fish, actual fish, but what you're looking at barely qualifies. We've examined the labels, read the reviews, and we're ranking 10 of Britain's most common tinned mackerel brands, from the absolute worst to the only 2 that are actually worth your money. 10. John West mackerel fillets in spicy tomato sauce. John West, the name that meant quality. The brand your mother trusted, not anymore. Let's talk about what's actually in this tin. Despite being sold as mackerel fillets, a large portion of the tin is sauce rather than fish. You're buying a tin labelled mackerel fillets, where the fish is often the 3rd most abundant ingredient. That should tell you everything. But it gets worse. Check the ingredient list. Modified maize starch, sugar, soybean oil, salt, flavour enhancers including E621, hydrolyzed vegetable protein and spice extracts. This isn't spicy tomato sauce, it's loaded with stabilizers and flavour enhancers that mask bland, low-grade fish rather than improve it. And the fish itself? One customer described it perfectly. Opened the tin and it looked like cat food, grey, mushy, falling apart before I even touched it. Another wrote, "The tomato sauce is so over-seasoned I couldn't taste any fish whatsoever, just salt, sugar and something vaguely resembling paprika." The real betrayal is the texture. Mackerel should have firm, distinct flakes. This stuff disintegrates into paste the moment your fork touches it. That's because it's been so overcooked that it falls apart into the sauce, which itself is thickened with modified starch. John West used to mean something. Now it means paying premium prices for fish that's been processed into submission and drowned in cheap sauce. At number 9, we have Prince's, the budget brand that's always been cheap, so at least they're honest about what they're offering. Except they're not offering much. Here's what should concern you. Mackerel in brine should be simple. Fish, water, salt. 3 ingredients maximum. But Prince's manages to complicate even this. 1 mouthful and all you taste is salt. The fish barely gets a say. And the fish itself is of such poor quality that one reviewer said, "I've had better mackerel from the discount aisle at a petrol station." The problem with Prince's isn't just that it's cheap, it's that it tastes cheap. The fish has that muddy, off flavour. One customer wrote, "Smelled dodgy the moment I opened it. Not rotten, just wrong. Like it had been sitting in that tin for a decade." And the texture, like wet cardboard soaked in seawater, according to another review. Prince's mackerel exists because people buy the cheapest option without thinking. But when the cheapest option tastes this bad, you're not saving money. You're wasting it on fish you won't want to eat. Number 8 is Asda's own brand of mackerel in sunflower oil. And here's where supermarket own brands start showing their true colours. The fish-to-oil ratio in this tin is criminal. You open it expecting mackerel and instead you're greeted by a swimming pool of sunflower oil with some fish drowning in it. One reviewer measured it. Literally 3/4 of the tin was oil. I got maybe 4 small pieces of actual fish. But let's talk about that oil. Sunflower oil is cheap, it's flavourless. It's used in industrial food production because it's stable and inexpensive, not because it adds anything to the product. The mackerel is swimming in it because oil is cheaper than fish. And Asda knows you're buying based on price per tin, not price per gram of actual mackerel. The fish itself has that characteristic metallic taste that comes from poor quality mackerel. As one person put it, tasted like I was licking a tin can. The fish was an afterthought. Another reviewer was more blunt. "My cat wouldn't eat it. I tried giving it to her as a treat and she literally walked away. That's never happened before." When your pet rejects it, you know you're in trouble. 7. Tesco mackerel fillets in tomato sauce. Tesco actually does some decent own brand products. This isn't one of them. The tomato sauce in this tin is around 70% water and sugar. The ingredient list reads like someone dumped the contents of a spice rack into tomato-flavoured corn syrup and called it a day. Modified starch, citric acid, paprika extract, onion powder, garlic powder, and enough salt to cure leather. One review summed it up perfectly. The sauce tastes like cheap ketchup that's been left in the sun and then diluted with water. The fish is just there for texture, not flavour. But here's what really damns it: the inconsistency. Some tins apparently contain recognisable pieces of fish. Others contain what one customer described as fishy mush that looked pre-chewed. "I've bought this 3 times and got 3 completely different products," another person wrote. "Once it was okay, once it was barely edible, once it went straight in the bin." When you can't trust that you'll get the same product twice from the same brand, that's not a budget option, that's a gamble. And with tinned fish, those aren't odds worth taking. 6. Morrisons mackerel fillets in brine. Morrisons manages to make brine-packed mackerel boring, which is actually quite an achievement. The problem isn't that it's offensive. The problem is that it's aggressively mediocre. The fish is bland, the brine is just salty water, and there's absolutely nothing memorable about it except how forgettable it is. It's not bad, it's just nothing, one reviewer wrote, like eating wet paper with a vague fish aftertaste. Another person put it more harshly. I've had more flavour from the tin itself. The mackerel tastes like it's never seen the ocean. And here's the real issue with Morrisons mackerel. The fish portions are pathetic. You open the tin expecting fillets and instead you get scraps, broken pieces, the bits left over after they've canned the good stuff for premium brands. Multiple reviewers complained that once drained, very little fish remained. One customer said, "I paid for fish and got mostly brine and disappointment." When you're paying for filler rather than fish, you're being robbed. Slowly, politely, but robbed nonetheless. 5. Sainsbury's mackerel fillets in olive oil. This is where things get insulting. Sainsbury's mackerel in olive oil sounds premium, doesn't it? Olive oil, the healthy option, the Mediterranean choice. Except read the fine print. It's not extra virgin olive oil. It's not even virgin olive oil. It's refined olive oil, which means it's been chemically processed to remove any actual olive flavour or beneficial properties. It's basically neutral oil that can legally be called olive oil because it came from olives at some point in its life. And they charge you extra for this privilege. You're paying premium prices for fish swimming in refined oil that costs barely more than sunflower oil to produce. One reviewer noticed the deception. "I bought this thinking I was getting something better than the basic version. It's the same fish in slightly more expensive oil. Feel like an idiot." The fish itself is unremarkable. Standard quality mackerel, not great, not terrible. But that's the con, isn't it? They dress up mediocre fish in fancy packaging with words like olive oil and sometimes charge you 40% more for essentially the same product. Tastes identical to the sunflower oil version, another customer wrote. Literally cannot tell the difference. Save your money. When a premium product is indistinguishable from the budget version, you're not buying quality, you're buying marketing. 4. Lidl Fjord Crest Mackerel Fillets in Oil. And here's where it gets interesting because Lidl sometimes has decent products at low prices, but their mackerel didn't get the memo. The fish comes from sustainable sources, which sounds great until you realise sustainable doesn't mean high quality. It just means they're not overfishing. The mackerel itself could still be rubbish, and in this case, it is. Tastes fishy in the wrong way, one review stated. Not fresh fish taste, that weird tinny metallic taste that makes you question whether to eat it or not. The texture is the real problem. It's mushy. One person described it as fish-flavoured baby food, which is quite possibly the most unappetising description imaginable. Another reviewer was more technical. The flesh has no structural integrity. It's like they've blended the fish and then reformed it into fillet shapes. Absolute mush. And here's the kicker. It's cheap, yes, but it's not even that much cheaper than mid-range brands that are significantly better. You're saving maybe 20 pence per tin to eat something that barely qualifies as food. Bought this once, never again seems to be the common refrain. Even at Lidl prices, it's not worth it. 3 Co-op mackerel fillets in spicy tomato sauce. The bronze medal for terrible mackerel goes to Co-op, and this one stings because the Co-op is supposed to represent something better. Ethical sourcing, fair trade, community values, but none of that matters when the product is this bad. The spicy tomato sauce contains sugar as the second ingredient. Not tomatoes, sugar. You're eating mackerel in tomato-flavoured syrup with enough chili powder to burn your mouth and disguise the fact that the fish tastes of absolutely nothing. One customer was livid. "I don't know what fish this is, but it's not mackerel. It's grey, it's tasteless, and it falls apart if you breathe on it too hard." Another wrote, "The sauce is so sweet and so salty simultaneously that I couldn't eat it. Tried to rinse the fish off and eat it plain. Still couldn't. The whole tin went in the bin." And here's what makes it worse. Co-op charges premium prices for this garbage. You're not paying budget prices, you're paying for their ethical credentials, their fair trade certification, their community dividend. But you're getting fish that tastes like it's been processed by people who've never actually eaten mackerel and have no idea what it's supposed to taste like. "My local co-op stopped stocking this," one reviewer noted. "I asked why. The manager said, too many complaints." That tells you everything. When a shop stops selling its own product because customers hate it that much, you know you've reached the bottom of the barrel. 2. Aldi Almare mackerel fillets in tomato sauce. The second worst tinned mackerel in Britain in our opinion, and it comes from Aldi, which is particularly disappointing because Aldi has mastered the art of cheap but good in so many product categories. But not tinned mackerel. Open this tin and you're hit with a smell that one reviewer described as cat food mixed with ketchup that's been left in a hot car. The tomato sauce is bright red in a way that real tomatoes never are. It's got that artificial colour that screams, "We use dye to make this look fresh." The ingredient list confirms it. Colouring agents, including paprika extract, not for flavour, but for colour. The mackerel pieces, and I use that word generously, are tiny. Fragments, scraps. "Looks like they put the leftover bits from other tins into this one," a customer wrote. "Nothing resembling an actual fillet." The texture is wrong in a way that's hard to describe but impossible to ignore. It's simultaneously mushy and chewy, which shouldn't be possible, but somehow Aldi has achieved it. One person tried to be diplomatic. "I mean, it's edible, technically, but so is cardboard if you're hungry enough." And the aftertaste. Oh, the aftertaste. Multiple reviewers mentioned it. A chemical metallic taste that lingers for hours. "I brushed my teeth twice and could still taste it," one person complained. The worst part? Aldi's mackerel used to be decent. This is a brand that's gotten worse over time, not better. They've cut costs somewhere, cheaper fish, more water, more additives, and hoped nobody would notice. We noticed. 1. Wilco mackerel fillets in brine. And here we are. We feel this is the absolute worst tinned mackerel you can buy in Britain. Now, some of you might be thinking, Wilco, the household goods shop. Yes, that Wilco. And that should have been the first warning sign. When a shop known for selling mops and picture frames tries to sell you fish, maybe don't buy the fish. Where do we even start with this abomination? The smell. One reviewer said, "I've cleaned fish tanks that smelled better than this tin." Another wrote, "Opened it in my kitchen and my wife demanded I take it outside. The whole house smelled horrible for an hour." The appearance? Grey-brown sludge with bones sticking out. According to multiple reviews, not fillets, sludge. The taste, for those brave enough to actually eat it, was universally condemned. "I have never spit food out into a bin before. There's a first time for everything," one person wrote. Another review was poetry in its disgust. This is what happens when someone who's never seen mackerel is given a description of mackerel over a bad phone connection and told to recreate it using only the worst possible ingredients. The brine is often so salty it's genuinely hard to understand how it passed any kind of quality control. "I've swum in the sea and swallowed seawater that was less salty than this," someone noted. But here's what elevates Wilco mackerel to the top spot of terrible. It's inconsistent in its awfulness. Some tins are merely bad, others are inedible. You never know which you're going to get, which makes every purchase a disturbing lottery. When even the terrible tins have good days and bad days, when you can't rely on consistent quality even at the bottom of the barrel, that's when you know you've found the absolute worst. Wilco mackerel. Don't buy it. Don't even think about buying it. If someone offers it to you for free, politely decline. But it's not all grim news. There are still 2 brands making tinned mackerel the right way, 2 companies that haven't forgotten that mackerel is supposed to be food, not industrial sludge. Coming in at number 2 in the good category, we have Waitrose. And yes, you'll pay more. But here's the thing, you're actually getting what you pay for. The ingredients list is refreshingly short. Mackerel, extra virgin olive oil, salt. That's it. No modified starch, no flavour enhancers, no E numbers, just fish, oil and salt. The mackerel itself is firm, actual fillets with visible flakes, fish that looks like it came from a fish rather than a processing plant. "This is what tinned mackerel should taste like," one customer wrote. "You can actually taste the mackerel." What a concept. Another reviewer compared it directly to the cheaper brands. "I used to buy Tesco's to save money. Tried Waitrose once and I can't go back. The difference is night and day." The olive oil is real extra virgin, not refined rubbish. You can taste it. It's slightly peppery, fruity, and it enhances the fish rather than drowning it. Is it expensive? Yes, a tin costs nearly twice what you'd pay for supermarket own brand, but you're getting twice the quality, probably 3 times the quality if we're honest. I eat this on toast with black pepper and lemon juice, someone wrote. It's genuinely delicious. I never thought I'd use that word to describe tinned fish. Waitrose Mackerel proves that it's possible to make a quality tinned product in 2025. You just have to care enough to do it properly. 1. John West Wild Pacific Mackerel in olive oil. And here's the twist. The best tinned mackerel in Britain comes from the same company that gave us one of the worst. John West's premium Wild Pacific line is everything their budget line isn't. This is mackerel from the Pacific, wild caught, processed carefully, and tinned in actual extra virgin olive oil. The difference is staggering. The fish is meaty, firm, and has that clean mackerel taste without any of the muddiness or metallic aftertaste of cheaper brands. One reviewer put it perfectly. This is the mackerel I remember from childhood. This is what tinned fish used to taste like before everyone started cutting corners. The fillets are whole, intact, beautiful even, if tinned fish can be beautiful. They don't fall apart when you touch them. They have structural integrity. I was skeptical because I'd been burned by regular John West, another customer wrote. But this premium line is completely different. It's not even the same company, it feels like. The ingredient list is clean. Pacific mackerel, extra virgin olive oil, salt. Nothing else. No need for anything else when you start with quality fish. Yes, it's the most expensive option on this list. A single tin can costs £3 or more, depending on where you shop. But the mackerel content is higher, the fish quality is superior, and you're getting actual extra virgin olive oil, not cheap filler. I eat this straight from the tin with good bread, one reviewer confessed. It's that good. No cooking, no dressing it up. Just the mackerel, some sourdough, bit of lemon. Perfect. John West Wild Pacific Mackerel proves something important. The brand name matters less than the specific product line. The same company can make both rubbish and excellence. You just have to know which one you're buying. Here's what we've learned. Most tinned mackerel we tried that is sold in British supermarkets is terrible. Not just mediocre, actually bad. Fish paste swimming in cheap oil or over-sweetened sauce, loaded with salt and additives to disguise the fact that the fish itself is poor quality. The budget brands are awful because they're using the cheapest fish and the cheapest processing. The mid-range brands are awful because they're pretending to be premium while using the same cheap fish. And even some premium brands are awful because they've forgotten what quality actually means. But 2 brands are still doing it right. Waitrose and John West's Wild Pacific line are using quality fish, simple ingredients and proper processing. They cost more because they're worth more. You don't have to overhaul your entire cupboard. But maybe this week, skip the £1 tin of grey mush and spend £3 on fish you'll actually want to eat. Stop buying based on the brand you recognise or the price that seems like a bargain. Read the ingredients, look at what you're actually buying, and demand better. Because British tinned fish can be brilliant. We just need to stop accepting rubbish and start supporting the companies that still care about making proper food. Your grandparents ate better tinned mackerel than most of what's on supermarket shelves today. The least we can do is demand the same quality for ourselves and refuse to accept anything less.